Welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Keri Barnum for New Shelves Books, and we're here to talk about the business of being an author, publishing, marketing, and everything in between. We do meet live every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can join us by going to newshelves.com/FAQ. It is free to register, and you can ask your questions live, or you can email your questions into info@newshelves.com. We do collect those questions throughout the week and answer them on Fridays for you. So we had some questions come in. I did not know that. We had some questions come in by email that I will be answering. As far as Elle just mentioned, there might be a spammy commenter following the reviews on the New Shelves Facebook page. I did not know that, but yes, this is a common tactic for spammers and people like that to use, is that sometimes they will go on reviews of a page and they will comment. Sometimes they'll even offer services, sometimes they'll heckle. So if you ever see that, no, it happens sometimes. I'll go in and look and see if I can't block them. So thank you, Elle, for the heads up. As much as we use social media for marketing, and I love it for that. I love Facebook for ads. It is filled with scammers and spammers, and unfortunately, you can't stop them. You can only manage them as they pop up. Someone asked me, well, how do you just post so people don't spam your post or how they don't bother you? And unfortunately, it's nothing you're doing. It's nothing that you can stop. It's just where there are people who are jerks, there will be people who are jerks. And they'll do what they do, and all we can do is manage it. So yeah. What I personally do for anyone who's kind of spamming, who it makes no sense, I just block them. It means that they cannot access my page. They can't leave comments. So I delete any comments that are obviously have nothing to do with what I'm doing, and then I just block them. There is a feature where you can block the person and any other profiles they may create, which is what I do. And it is a little tedious, but honestly, usually they get tired of it. So it's part of the management of anything. We used to have, and we still do have spam phone calls and we have spam texts. But it used to be, the home phone, you had spam callers, so you would always leave on the voicemail so that you could hear when people were calling. And it's the same thing happening on social media. And I wish it weren't so. It's annoying. It can be draining. But it is kind of just the part of any marketing, by the way. This is not just authors. I have some local friends who run businesses. I help a local community organization run ads for things, and they get it as well. It's just part of being online, unfortunately. So block, release, and don't worry about it too much, in my opinion. Let's see. Richard's asking, says Facebook members are more focused on Reels than on posting to friends. Should video Reels be the advertising focus? That is a great question. So on both Instagram and Facebook, Reels and videos do pick up algorithms more. However, they're not talking about for ads. Although sometimes video ads can work very well where you're running an ad off of a video. But what they're not telling you is that what really picks up the algorithms is when you are posting original content videos regularly from Facebook and Instagram. So this is not a one-time post of a video and running an ad, although that can work. When they're saying that there is more focus on Reels, they are literally talking about people who are making videos regularly. I follow a content creator. She does like cooking kind of stuff on um, on Facebook and Instagram and all the places. And she said, in order to stay relevant and keep growing and getting attention to her videos, she has to post videos 3 to 5 times a day. So if you're trying to get organic content to reach people and grow that way on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, 3 to 5 videos a day. And I've heard that from multiple creators. So yes, absolutely. Reels and video are, yeah, a day. I didn't say a week, I said a day. And so when Meta or different places are like, yeah, videos are trending, do videos. Absolutely, they're trending. What they're not telling you is that in order to get any real organic traction, you are having to post really regularly. And this is not the same video or book trailer over and over. It's original new content, whether it be of you talking about something, a book review, whatever it is. For people in the book space, it'd be different, obviously, than someone posting about like cooking. Um, but so that's what they don't tell you. So yes, absolutely, video is great. And using videos in ads can be very, it can work. I will say I've had some ads that I run. As always, I hate blanket statements because I've had some ads that I've run and used I'm sorry, and used videos, and they just did not hit well. Typically, the audience for these books are a little bit older. The older crowd does not tend to watch videos quite as much as a younger crowd. And I've had to revert back to still images because videos are not working for certain books and audiences. At the same time, videos for like children's books or young adult books can do very, very well in ads. So I think it's one of those things that you have to, as with anything, take the knowledge, give it a try, run still ads, run video ads, and then run the data. You guys know me and you know I'm going to say it. You have to run the data. It's not enough just to try things. You've got to run the data to see what works, what doesn't work. Because even if it works for everyone else, it may not work for you. And the truth is that nothing works for everyone. You really have to see what works for your audience in your book. So videos are great if you love creating content in videos, then posting regularly can be fantastic and you really can grow organically. But I will say you can grow organically, but not easily. And I think that's a big difference is that you can grow organically without ads or without paying too much in ads if you're posting 3 to 5 times a day. But that's not easy because we all know that making a 2 minute video usually does not take 2 minutes. Even if you really got it down to a science, you're probably still taking about a half hour by the time you edit and post and do all the things for that. So that adds up in time. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, with that time, is it better spent in other places? Do I love to do this? Would it be better spent on writing? Could I just do ads and catch what I can catch and not worry about that organic algorithm? And the answer might be different for different writers. I don't think there's a blanket that we go by. Um, but there's my spiel on video. 3 to 5 videos a day does feel like a lot. I feel things would get very repetitive very quickly. Are there any resources for how to do that? So here is the thing. 3 to 5 videos is a lot. It means a lot of content ideas, but what they don't tell you is a lot of those people are reusing some parts of their content, not the same day. So let's say they sit down and they come up with, I don't know, excuse me, like 50 video ideas, and that can be book trailer, it could be talking about a book, it could be a book review. It doesn't all have to be about your book. Remember, we talked about the 80-20 rule and posting things about your book and then just general readery things. So to capture your audience. So come up with 50 ideas and you have 50 different videos and maybe 20 of them are you talking and 30 of them are kind of images with an overlay of text and a voiceover or music or different things like that. So some of them will be your face and some will not be. Sorry about that. Um, so it's not ads, it's just posting new videos. So it's different. An ad and a video are different. You can use a video for an ad, but not every video has to be an ad. Um, No, Richard, you probably can't change your bikini that often. And so if you've got 50 content ideas, you've got 20 of you kind of talking, and you don't have to do them all in the same day, but then you've got kind of a foundation or a template of I'm going to put in different stock photos with words over top or reviews or excerpts or hooks or taglines from your book. And obviously, the more books you have in the same genre, the more you can do. What people don't tell you is many times what they'll do is they're doing three, let's just call it five a day. They're doing five a day. They're doing three of those kind of video overlays and then two of them talking per day. And they'll do that. And then the overlay videos, they will recycle and reuse. They will mix and match and say, I'm going to do the same hook and taglines, but I'm going to change out the music that goes with it. I'm going to change out the background photos. It's still work, but it's less work. And I'm in a lot of author groups. I read a lot of posts about people who are doing well in places like TikTok. I'm not kidding when I say it's like a full-time job promoting on TikTok. These people are talking about doing videos again 3 to 5 times a day, coming up with content. Now they have got it down to an art where they have templates and it's not taking them as much time once they get going as it did in the beginning, but it's still taking them 2 hours a day to market their book. Now, typically these people are in a genre that's doing very well on TikTok or on Reels, something like romance. And so they know that's where their audience is. So that's how they're selling their books. And some of them are like, I have no money, but I have 2 hours a day. So that's what I'm going to do. And that's how they market themselves. So I think that's one of the things that's not talked about often enough is when we talk about authors who are making it on TikTok or people who are going viral and things like that, they're not on social media once a day. They are on social media intermittently throughout the day, every day. They are engaging, they're commenting, they are posting new content and they're constantly creating content. And yeah, they do have to be, you have to ride that fine line of not being repetitive while also realizing that just because you post something on Friday doesn't mean people are going to see it on Friday. They may not see it at all because they didn't log in. So if you repost it 2 Thursdays from then, it'll be like new content, even though it's repetitive. But it can't be exactly the same because the algorithms catch on to that if it's the exact same video. So you have to change up little things, like I said, the music, the background photos, that kind of thing. So it's an art and a science, and it takes, it can be, if you're doing it yourself, it can be very cost effective, but it takes a lot of time. Uh, let's see. I'm not on TikTok, but I have accounts on Pinterest and Instagram, which I've ignored for a long time. Which is better for reaching persons with historical romance and historical fiction? So these are, I would say for historical romance and fiction, your strongest spot is actually going to be Facebook. So Facebook and Facebook ads. But I would say Instagram is probably next up for that. Simply because Instagram is tied to Facebook and it's also where a lot of that reader age and audience is. What's nice is what you post to Facebook, you can typically post to Instagram if it's got an image with it, so you can kind of share content there. Pinterest is completely different because Pinterest you don't have to do as often. Pinterest is where you are creating content and then you're linking to something. So you're creating a graphic or something and you're linking. What's different with Pinterest and what has always been popular with people who market on Pinterest is that on social media, what's on the feed, what's playing right now is that's your shop. Once it's gone, like 20, 30 minutes, if it doesn't start to get attention, and then an hour a day later, it might as well not exist on Facebook, Instagram, those kinds of things. Occasionally, an older video will go viral or something like that. But on Pinterest, it's always based on keyword and relevancy, not on timing. So I get pins on posts that I've posted 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And so Pinterest has more longevity if your post has longevity. With that said, you kind of have to think about what people are looking at on Pinterest. A lot of Pinterest is going to be it's going to be like health, fitness, fashion, cooking. It's a lot of men actually are more on Pinterest than they are on some other social media channels. Men tend to be there, so that's good to know. Um, it's a lot of older women are on there, a lot of people who are in places like teachers or things that are very DIY kind of people, which lends itself honestly more to nonfiction than fiction in most places. Does not say it can't be used for fiction, but it's harder to adapt pins and the interest for fiction. If you're doing that, you're probably relying more on like quotes from the book and different things like that. So, if it were me, I'd focus more on Instagram than Pinterest simply because I think it'll be more to your audience. But Pinterest is one of those things you don't have to post 10 times a day. It's fine to do Pinterest once a week. Some people even do it once a month, because it's got more longevity there. So it does kind of depend. If you're a nonfiction author and you were doing like health, fitness, cooking, I'd say Pinterest it all day long, although Instagram does really well there too. So depends. Yeah, I've been working on content plus an Amazon. I think you might mean A plus content. Um, Does Amazon KDP like it when you do this to help exposure? Can you explain how much you have to spend on advertising and KDP? I went to look at a book on Amazon. I now have to put in author to find it. Um, Cheryl, I think we might have pieces missing, but I'll try to guess. So if you're doing A plus content on Amazon, that is like the images that are from the publisher, that if you have self-published, you have access to this from the promotion and marketing tab, and you can do that through KDP. And I actually have a video on YouTube all about putting up this content. This video it continues to get a lot of views. I think it's probably my most viewed video because I did it when A plus content was very new for KDP and people had not been. So let me see. I'll share the link in the chat. If you're not with us live, then you can always just go to youtube.com/new shelves books and you can just type in A plus content in the search. I promise it'll come up. So A plus content is fantastic. I don't know that KDP actually prioritizes anything with it, but I will say that it can be a great way to visually enhance the reader experience. So if it's a children's book, you can add in some of the illustrations of your book. If you have a fiction book, having reviews or little quote lines from the book can be, visually appealing because when we go to the Amazon sales page, we read text, sure, but we skim while we're buying. And if we're skimming while we're buying, then those visual images stand out and they're easier to skim. So I love A plus content for most books, including nonfiction, fiction, children's. I love it. Doesn't mean everyone uses it, but I really love it. There's some people saying in the beginning that it was distracting, but most people have converted to say that A plus content is positive. Now, I will say with that, I must say this because I recently looked at a book from an author who did A plus content, and their A plus content was so busy. There was so much of it. It was so busy. There was text overlaying, graphics overlaying this and that. The text was tiny. It was chaos. It was chaos. So I have to say, overall, I love A plus content, but keep in mind, you still want it to be pretty simple. If you're using graphics, fine. Keep them relatively large and simple. If you're using text, make it bigger. Less words, bigger words. Because we're skimming, we're reading a little tiny image that's probably on a little tiny phone. So make sure that we're not trying to do too much. We want to give a tease and a taste of your book. We do not want to vomit your book all over the page. um it was overwhelming and it was honestly a turn off this person's A plus content because it was just too much. So make sure that if you're doing it, think simply, think big words, big text, not big words, big text, and kind of go through that way. And then you asked about advertising. So advertising through Amazon, you're typically going to do Amazon ads, and I do love Amazon ads. The thing with Amazon ads that we have to remember is that Amazon ads, they're tied into Amazon. People have their credit card connected. They can work really well. However, they can also be really expensive. I'm seeing in popular genres where some you can't get traction without spending anywhere from 60 to 90 cents per click. Now, the profit and royalty on books is low. Even on Amazon, you're typically making $3 to $6 per book sold if it's outright sold and not on Kindle Unlimited. Um, if it's taking you on average 10 clicks to get a sale, keeping in mind that's actually a pretty good ad. If you're converting 10 in one for 10 clicks, you're getting one sale. That's pretty good. If it's costing you 60 cents per click, that's $6. If you're only making $3, you're upside down on that. Now, if it's a lead into a series and it's a 10-book series and you're going to make that up by book two, and typically people read through to the end, then you'll make a profit on the end. But if you've got a single book, that's hard to do. In some genres in particular, I've seen a lit RPG is very, very competitive and expensive. Thrillers are some of the most expensive cost per click. So of course we have people who talk about, oh, we'll do low cost per click and set your bid at 34 cents or set your bid at 40 cents. Beautiful. I like to try that too. However, the truth is that Amazon ads have become so used. They have become competitive to the point that for some people, that cost per click will never work. They will never get impressions or traction. So they're going to have to keep it increasing their cost per click, which means you really better be targeting closely and you better be watching your conversion to make sure that you're not paying too much for that customer acquisition. And again, it's a game changer if you got one book or if you got a 10-book series. I can afford to do, I can afford to spend $6 in ads to get a reader if I've got a 10-book series that people are reading through. If I've got a single book, I can't. I will never be on top of that. So you do have to watch that. I think you can start ads on Amazon for as little as $5 a day for tester ads. Amazon recommends that you start $12 a day for an ad. Now that doesn't mean you'll spend that much. It means that's what your bid or like what your cap is. $12 a day is kind of a lot. Sometimes you get more data. You get the algorithms a little happier that way, but I think you can start at $5 a day. Um, but know that Amazon's recommending $12 a day. So if we're looking at $12 a day, you guys know I don't do math. But if we're doing $12 a day and we've got a month, 30 days, then we're looking at like $360 per month to try out ads. That's kind of a lot. So $5 a day I like because it's $150 a month. It's a little bit more reined in if you're trying to budget and test something out. And then as always, you've got to follow the data. You've got to follow the data to see if ads make sense, if they're converting. It may take some time of adjusting. When I do ad programs, I do a 12-month ad, or I'm sorry, a 12-week ad program typically where my programs are 12 weeks because it takes that long to test things out, to get data, to adjust according to the data, to refine again, to see if we can get ads that are going to work long term, what they're going to cost us, what that conversion is. So, no, it will take some time. It's not something that you can't run an ad for a week and be like, well, didn't work, moving on. Or it worked, I'm going to keep this ad running forever. It's not going to work like that. It will take some time and adjustment. It does depend on your genre, it depends on your book, and a lot of things that go into that. Um, and yes, the longer your book's up, if it's not getting sales, sometimes your keywords are no longer prioritized. So if you have a book title that it used to show up right when you were putting your book in, but you haven't made sales, the longer your book is online, if it's not getting sales, the lower Amazon prioritizes the metadata. So if I have a book by Joe Smith, let's just say, because it's a common name. I have a book by Joe Smith and I type in Joe Smith and my book's at the top because it just came out. But if it's not selling and it's been 6 weeks, when I type Joe Smith, my book's not going to be on there. It's not going to be prioritized. So that is important to know that sometimes if your book's not selling, your metadata isn't prioritized as much. That's when you're going in going, man, when I search my book now, I have to do the title and the author, different things like that. It's based on sales and algorithms, and that will happen over time. It will happen as the book gets older. It will happen if there's a more popular book out there with the keywords that you've got. It's kind of an ever evolving game in book sales. Let's see. Any experience with Blue Sky? I know just enough of Blue Sky. Some people are using Blue Sky kind of as a Twitter replacement. Honestly, I think people who love it, but not everyone's converted over to it. Um, I haven't seen it be an effective marketing tool yet. I've seen people make connections on Blue Sky like they did on Twitter with agents and people in the writing community, but I have not seen Blue Sky as an effective marketing or promotioning tool as of yet, except for maybe people in the news or politics space. So that would not be my go-to for book marketing at the moment. Let's see. Generally speaking, what kind of percentage increase in sales could someone without prior ads or newsletters experience, expect or hope for if they're working with new shelves on a ad program or really any ad program? This is a really good question, and it actually came up yesterday for me as well. So I'm going to give the same answer here. When we're talking about running ads, it is so smart. It is so smart to have some kind of goalpost or some some goals and some reasonable markers of what you would like to see in sales. So the first thing I say is before you can set reasonable markers, you have to look at your current data. Have you ever run ads? Have you ever run ads? How did those work? What have your sales been? Have you marketed your book at all? And did you market and get no sales? Did you market and you got some sales, but you want to amplify? Would you do? Would you not do? So before really having expectations of how your book might sell with any ads or program, you first have to look at how it's done on its own and how it's done in the past, because that might give us some key indicators of if there is a gap in the system somewhere. So that's one of the things to kind of look at. And I do think it's important to have success metrics, but it's really important to note that when you're running ads or ad programs, you're working with new shelves on marketing, sales can't be promised or guaranteed because our goal in ads and marketing is to drive qualified traffic to the sales page. It's to drive not just traffic, because that's important. You don't want to send any old person to your sales page. If it's not the right reader or the right buyer, it's not qualified traffic. So our goal is to send qualified traffic to your sales page. From there, though, the product has to sell itself. This is where the things like the book cover, the reviews, the positioning, that has to close that sale. Now, part of what I love about marketing is that my job is to send qualified traffic through ads or promotions or PR to a book sales page or a website. But I love the data, which is funny because I'm not a numbers person typically, but I love the data because data gives us so many clues. So sometimes what we'll see in a marketing program is sometimes we'll see that you're not getting sales, but we know we're driving qualified traffic. So what we are able to do is kind of put on our sleuthing hats here and get an idea of where's the breakdown. Sometimes we find that you thought your book was a contemporary romance, but really it's women's fiction. They're different audiences. You've been marketing and we've been marketing to the wrong audience. Sometimes we find like, hey, your cover gets people over to your sales page, but then your cover is saying something and your description is saying something different. Sometimes we find there's a lack of reviews, or we find positioning issues, or we find pricing issues. But that's really the goal. So part of what we're doing is to drive traffic and yes, hoping to increase in sales. And part of what we're doing is trying to find out how we can really make sure that your book is positioned really well. So usually when I'm working with people, we do have some goal markers, but also what we're looking at is, are we seeing increases month over month? Are we seeing, as we're making adjustments and changes, are we increasing our conversion? Have we fixed an issue? Because sometimes that's what the process is. And I have to say, sometimes I've worked with books where we run ads that have never had ads before. We run and it's out the gate. It's like, oh my gosh, our book is selling. That was so easy. And I love that. And it does happen sometimes. And we see people earning double what they're spending in dollars. Sometimes we run ads and it's like, here's a problem. We got to fix this. Here's a change. And that's why, as we're making these changes, we're looking for improvement month over month and week over week. And almost always, it's very rarely where I'm truly stumped and I'm like, hey, we're getting traffic here, but no one's buying. Usually we are seeing that increase in not only traffic, but sales and conversions. And I love to see that. I was even talking to an author yesterday who was feeling a little down that they were marketing and they weren't seeing as many sales as they'd hoped for, which does happen. We always want, I'm running ads. I just want my book to take off and I feel that for you. But it was important for me to go back and say, wait, we've been running ads for 2 months now. We went back 3 months and looked at sales. Then we looked at sales at 2 months and then currently. And it was very clear that we had a sales trajectory that was going straight up. So even though we didn't go from no sales to 100 sales a day, we did go from no sales to a sale a day with potential to keep improving and increasing. So when we're looking at success, sometimes it depends on where you've been, what you've already done with your book, and sometimes it depends on the book itself. So I always expect to see improvement. We always have key markers, but as far as what kind of success you'll have, you don't really know until you try. If you've run ads in the past, you probably have a better idea, but if you've never done them before, we simply don't know until we put out in the market. Um, just like anything. I think this recipe is fantastic. Let me put it out to a bunch of people and people come back. They're like, yeah, I hated it or I loved it or this was wrong. We don't know until we put it out in the market. So hopefully that gives you some insight into like what it looks like. It's not guaranteed or promised sales, so whether you work with me or any marketing or PR professional. Um, but we do have markers that are more about driving traffic and then reading that traffic and conversions. Let's see. It's hardly possible these days to find a Facebook post, reel, or video that doesn't have an accompanying ad or isn't interrupted by a video ad. This frequency seems fairly new to me. Are these types of ads or sponsorships generally effective, affordable for authors? So, affordable, yes, in the sense that video ads or any ad that's showing up on things is typically just an ad. So if I'm running Facebook ads for $1 a day or $2 a day, my ads might show up on those videos and different things. So as far as Facebook, affordability is one of the things I love about Facebook. You can spend a lot of money, but if you're smart about your ads, you can run Facebook ads for as little as $2 a day and see effective results. So I do love it for that. And yeah, there are ads everywhere because that's how Facebook is making money. Um, I think that they're increasing the places you can run ads and see ads because they're always thinking about how they can sell more of their product and make more money themselves. And so that's one of the things we do see. Um, and sometimes they're effective. Sometimes, sometimes people click on a lot of ads. Sometimes they're clicking on accident. I did that the other day. So I think it's one of those things that yes, they can be effective. I think it's really important that we target. We've talked about Facebook ads before as far as you really have to be smart in your targeting. You have to be smart and consistent in your targeting. You have to be on brand with that audience and targeting to have success. But I literally spend it's probably thousands. I spend like thousands of dollars a day on Facebook over a range of ad accounts for different authors and businesses and myself. And if they weren't effective, I promise I would not be running them. But I've literally seen authors' careers made by running Facebook ads. I have one client in particular who we had been running some Facebook ads, but we are like, I wanna do more budget. Like, will you trust me with more money? And she said yes. And I'll tell you what, we have doubled that author's income and their sales in a year because we were willing to scale and we really took time with Facebook ads. It doesn't work for everybody, it doesn't work for every genre, but for some people, it can be really, really effective. Let's see. A question here was advice needed before I spend money. What do you think of purchasing info from FeedSpot? Is it a good use of my money? It seems to be. So FeedSpot, for anyone who doesn't know, is a media contact database. So they provide Number one, they do a lot of blogs and posts like the top, someone just posted the other day on FeedSpot, like the top 25 book marketing blogs. Some people will pay to be on there and sometimes you're naturally on there. So like New Shelf showed up on there. I didn't pay for that. So they will do like different blogs and things for top PR agencies, top book marketing blogs, top this, top that. That is part of their kind of SEO and how they earn a little bit of money. But where they really make their money is what they do is they sell media contact databases. So you can go there and buy a list of the top 50 parenting blogs, what they're calling the top 50. You can buy a media database for publishers. You can buy it for podcasters, pretty much anything you can imagine. They have a media contact database that they've scraped from online that they will sell you for podcast journalists, magazines, all sorts of things. So they have one for publishers that offers bloggers, podcasters, and content creators with opportunities to list their platforms on FeedSpot for increased visibility and audience growth. They offer something for podcast PR software, which grants access to a vast array of podcasts, including direct email contacts, blah, 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 and then embeddable RSS widgets. So about this, is FeedSpot worth the money? This is a good question. So FeedSpot is typically very inexpensive. They will sell you a media content list for like 30 bucks. It'll be 50 contacts, but it'll be like 30 bucks. So I think that if you do not have the time, but you have the money and you would like to get a contact list for mom blogs or a cooking podcast or different things like that. I think that it's as reputable as anyone else could be. Now, with that said, they are not giving you like proprietary information. They literally are scraping Google and blogs and things for this information. Sometimes it's outdated. Sometimes the contacts are not great contacts, like the email wasn't great, but the website works, different things like that. So you don't pay a lot, but I don't think it's worth a lot, I guess is what I'm saying. If you wanted a list of 50 bloggers and you wanted to reach out to people and you had 30 bucks to spend, sure, go spend it. I think that as much as anything else, you can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, please provide me a list of the 50 top book review bloggers in contact information. And ChatGPT is going to scrape the internet, do kind of the same thing for free. This does not mean it's a great contact, does not mean they'll pay attention to you, does not mean it's the right email. And that's about what you're getting from FeedSpot in my experience. And so it just depends on you. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a scam. I just think that you can find that information elsewhere for free if you're willing to look for it. If you don't have the time or the wherewithal to do that, sure, buy a list from them. You can also certainly pay to have like you might for SEO reasons pay to have your company listed or say, you know, I'm really interested in having my company listed in a blog about this. And they charge you a couple bucks a month to do that. And for SEO purposes, it can be really great. So I see no problem with that. But again, ride the line. I don't think it's something I'd do forever and ever, but you might do it for like 6 months or something and get that SEO boost as you're launching a book or a product or a program or a website. But again, it's one of those things. It's not very expensive. It's not something, it's good it's not expensive because I don't think it's worth a lot of money. But I think they offer a service. It's valid. I don't think they're scammy. Just know what you're buying, I guess. I recently got a review from Midwest Book Review. I've used it on my author Facebook page. Can you suggest any other ways to utilize it for marketing? Absolutely. If you have a review from any reviewer like Midwest Book Review, a blogger, Kirkus, you can absolutely put an excerpt of that in your editorial review section on your Amazon sales page. You can access this by going to Author Central. You go to the book on Author Central, and then you can edit details. You can add this. It's US only at the moment, but you can add editorial reviews in. So I'd be using an excerpt there. You can use it in book sales sheet. If you are pitching to a library or a bookstore, you can use little excerpts of that review there. You can use it in social media posts or on Facebook. You can use it. Some people will put it on like their book cover or inside the book if it's not published yet. So those are just a couple of the places to use it. Mostly you're using it in like you're using it as social credibility when you're pitching your book to sell. So, online on your Amazon sales page, you can put it on Ingram Spark has a spot for editorial reviews for outside of Amazon, and different things like that, and on your sales sheets. So that's where I would be using. Let's see, let's get to Miko's question. I've gotten some great feedback so far on my book from parents, librarians, educators, and even a 12-year-old reader. It's a middle grade book, so I love it. The reviews are up on Goodreads, Library Thing, LitPick, and a few blogs. I've also done a few interviews, podcasts, digital magazine, and a couple of blogger features. My author website is up and running too. I'm wondering how I can make the most of all of this to boost visibility and sales. I tried Facebook ads through Ingram ID, but the response wasn't great. Do you think it's worth exploring more paid advertising at this point? If so, which platforms or approaches would you recommend? So I have to say, Ingram ID, if you're not familiar, Ingram ID is kind of a advertising conglomerate offered through Ingram. So if you've got your books on Ingram Spark or if you're with distribution, you can create an Ingram ID account for advertising. Here's the thing. I have to word my words carefully. I have to think about them before I spew them. Ingram ID, when they are doing ads and Facebook ads and things like that, they're essentially just grouping all of your stuff together and they're just advertising on Facebook, but charging you way more than you would if you just went onto Facebook and advertised yourself. In my experience, they do not offer better advertising. They do not offer, number one, you're being grouped together with other books, not specifically going to your target audience and market. So Ingram ID, Facebook ads, and things like that are fantastic for people who do not want to touch Facebook, for people who don't know how, are just stuck and not willing to run ads themselves. You guys are savvy authors. This is not something I recommend for you. Get your own Facebook business page, run your own Facebook ads. I do have the Facebook ad crash course that I put up on YouTube for free. It's absolutely free, you guys, and it tells you how to get started with Facebook ads. I did a very detailed screen sharing um, tutorial. Because what happens is you're essentially paying someone else to run your ads. And whatever you're paying them, a fraction of that is going towards the budget of advertising your book. Most of it's going to the people for them to advertise your book. And again, this is not specific to you or your audience. The algorithms are not based on your audience, they're book algorithms. They might be children's book algorithms, but they are not specific to you, your book, your audience. You are being grouped together with a bunch of other books, children's books, nonfiction, health and wellness, whatever it is. And then they're advertising a group of books and products and doing it that way. I'm not saying that what Ingram ID is doing is wrong. I'm not saying it's a scam or anything like that. So please let me be clear. What I am saying is that I think it's basic. And I think that each of you is well beyond basic, that you are smarter than that, and that your dollars would be better spent trying Facebook ads on your own. You'll have more data, you'll have more control, and you will spend less. Or if you're spending, at least you're spending on your own ads and not on that. Now, with that said, part of what I do here at New Shelves is I do run ad programs with authors where I either run ads for you or I consult with you on your ads to help teach you how to run your ads more effectively. Um, if you want to run ads and you realize that you've tried it on your own, it's not working as well as you'd hoped, I would highly recommend something like that where you're actually learning how to run your own ads in your own platform that can be duplicated and run long term rather than paying someone else to run ads for you. It's the same way I've said for a long time about written word media, who I recommend all the time, by the way. Written word media does Bargain Booksy, Free Booksy, the discount ebook newsletters. One of the things they offer is they offer like a bump of Facebook ads, or they offer Facebook ads for authors. And I've said for a long time, take that budget, just put it into your own ads, and you'll get way more out of it. Again, for authors who don't have Facebook, do not want to learn it, are like, I have money, I'm not doing it, and want to pay for Facebook ads, I think it's legitimate. I'm not saying it's not legitimate. I just think you can spend your dollars better on your own, running your own Facebook ads. And I feel the same way about Ingram ID. Now, Ingram is a very well-known company. It's a big company. And so it's very well trusted. So people think they're like getting something special or new. They're not. They're running Facebook ads the same way we are. And I have to tell you, I was on a call recently with a Facebook ad, like one of Facebook's ad guru kind of people. When you spend enough money on Facebook in certain accounts, they will start to offer like free calls to see if your ads could be improved or if you have any questions. So if you spend enough money, and I have several clients who do. And one of my clients was like, "Hey, do you want to do a call with me?" And I was like, "Absolutely, why not? I'm always up to learn something new." I think that's a key, is that no matter how good you are at something, you can never be too good to learn something new or to go and talk to people who do things differently and learn. And so I was like, absolutely. We got on a call with this person and we're looking at the ads that we're running, and the person was like, "How'd you do that? It's pretty good." And here's the thing, this is someone who does it for a living. And it's not just because I'm running these ads. I'm saying this because the truth is that if you take the time to learn the ads, how they work, how to drive your cost down, how to market to your audience, and you know your audience better than anyone, you can be really, really effective. You can be more effective than a big ad agency for yourself if you take the time to learn, or you work with someone who's really working specifically for and with you. So don't be afraid to do that. And I will absolutely, you can always go to just New Shelves, um, the YouTube channel for New Shelves, but I will put the link directly into the crash course for Facebook. Again, I made it free. I was not trying to like charge anyone for this. I think I might have even did it on a Free Advice Friday when I did this, but it's uh, crash course in Facebook ads for authors. And I did this right on YouTube that I put it up. I will drop it in the chat here. So there you go. So again, I don't think it's bad. I just think I don't think it's bad. I just think you can do better because I think the world of you. All right. So the question about what can you do? I do think running your own Facebook ads to get your own data is important. I think Amazon ads, again, we like to think that there's like some secret thing we're not doing, but the truth is the books that sell the most, they have ads running. They have ads running continuously. They are rinsing and repeating. They're finding their audience, whether it be on TikTok or Amazon ads or Facebook. They're trying these different things. And then once they find what works, they rinse and repeat over and over and over again. I have books that have been out for 10 years. We've been running Facebook ads for 10 years, and guess what? They still work because we found that audience. So I would recommend try different things. Try Facebook ads, try Amazon ads. Those are the two strongest ad platforms for books. If you are, again, are really into content, or you do romance in particular, dark fantasy, TikTok shop can be great. Now, TikTok may be going away, so, take with that what you will. But I would say run those ads. That's the most effective way to get in front of your audience. If you love working with like kids and you have a kids book, find out about author events, pitch yourself to schools, to libraries. That can be a great way to market yourself. If you like in-person events, I know an author who just loves in-person events. She kills it at festivals. I mean, she will do signings at restaurants. She will go to festivals. She will go to book cons. And that is where she sells all of her books. She does great. She does nothing online because she doesn't like it. And so her online sales are pretty tiny. I think she could actually amp that up, but she focuses on in-store, in-person events because she loves it. So try out different things where you can sell your book, see what works for you, your schedule, your personality. Try out all the things. I mean, of course, you have to do it in reason with a budget, track the data. Once you find out what works, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to like, oh, but what else? Nope. Amazon ads work? Cool. Do it again. Do it again. Now maybe you can increase your budget and do it again. That's how marketing works. Once you find the place that you're going to sell, you don't go, but I need to find more places. I mean, maybe eventually, but most of the time you just try to expand your presence where you're already selling. You don't go looking for greener pastures because then you're just missing out on the opportunity you've already found and created for yourself. Do I recommend requesting reviews from Midwest Book Reviews for backlist books? I don't typically do editorial reviews for backlist books because they've kind of already had their social proof in their heyday. I don't think it'll hurt anything, but I don't think that it's necessarily going to help you either. It can be great for SEO and for social proof in the beginning, but once your book's been out, I don't think that it's necessarily anything you need to focus on. Personally, I would recommend it. All right, you guys, it's 11 o'clock. Thanks for this day. It was fun. I'll be back next Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you have questions, join me live, ask them. You can always in as well. I am around. So thank you for being here. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye, everybody.